Hello there, and welcome to the Bitcoin Takeover podcast. This is season 15, episode 60. We are continuing this journey to explore existing privacy projects and stuff that can potentially come to Bitcoin if we want privacy to come to Bitcoin. And we are live with the guys who co created or co founded Zano, which is this privacy platform that enables you to do private transactions just like Monero with the Monero cryptography, but at the same time, you can also issue tokens. And I have to present this disclaimer before I introduce the guests and before we get to talking. None of this is promotional. None of this is financial advice. Nobody got paid to be part of this interview. Nobody's asking you to buy anything. Don't buy Zano. If you want to see how it works, maybe download the wallet, maybe just mine it yourself with the GPU you already have, understand how it works. If there's anything interesting about it, maybe buy it in a week or two after you spend some time with it. But I'm not telling you to buy anything, and I'm pretty sure that the guests today, Andrey and Pavel, who are the two co-founders, will also tell you not to invest. Just look at the technology for what it is and try to understand what it does.
Correct. Yeah, you could also use a testnet for that matter. It works exactly the same way, and you don't even have to mine it. You can just request someone a faucet, and it has the same set of apps.
Even a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, it's ahead of the main chain, so we have features on a testnet that are not enabled on the mainnet yet. So it's even more beneficial for people to give a shot.
Okay, so let's start with the beginning. Except for how did you get into Bitcoin, which I think is the most vanilla question for any podcast. So, what is Zano? I think that's the most essential question. And why are you here? What are we really talking about?
Pavel.
Well, I can take that. I can give a broad outline of Sano and how we came here, but if we need technical insights, I can refer back to Andre. But originally, the story of Zana began in 2014 with the first uh, CryptoNote project Andrey launched, and CryptoNote itself was launched as the next iteration of Bitcoin, aimed to fix the issues Bitcoin were having, and later on that project been known as Monero. And at the same time, Andrea started working on his implementation of the CryptoNote, which was called Bullberry at the time. And that was the Xano predecessor, which we launched back in 2018, I think, as another iteration, um, we introduced a bunch of technologies on top of the normal crypto node. We implemented the hybrid consensus system and made a bunch of improvements and keep doing it to the same day. The modern day Zano has evolved from the single coin project as it always used to be before to sort of ecosystem, if you have mentioned, by adding the proof of stake, completely anonymous proof of stake, and privacy tokens, which we are calling confidential assets. That's how we got here, and this is what we are trying to accomplish here.
Okay, but is it really proof of stake? Because as far
It's
as
a it's
I.
a it's a hybrid consensus. We have both proof of stake and proof of work because each has its own advantages and weaknesses. And frankly speaking, we would move to proof of stake if we ever able to solve all the issues proof of stake is having, but it's an uphill battle, and it's highly unlikely we'll be able to do it in the foreseeable future.
What exactly did you mean by asking, is it really a proof of stake?
Because I did some research before this interview and I discovered that you have this mechanism in which you mine one block with proof of work and then another one with proof of stake. So you
Yep.
alternate between them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but both are functional and work at the same time. They complement each other. So we have proof of work, network, and hash rate, and miners. And at the same time, we have proof of stake with all the coin holders, and the core combines those to make our hybrid consensus.
I can explain exactly why it's very proof of stake, and I can explain why we still need a proof of work. If we have a time, I can give a highlight from high level perspective.
That's why we're here.
So yeah, as Pavel said, um, I really whenever we speak with people about consensus, I am the person who always up for proof of stake and try to convince. I have a lot of conversation about this, especially with the OG guys and especially with the Maxis, Monero Maxis, Bitcoin Maxis, other people, and I myself launched the first project that I launched ages ago. It was a proof of work, pure proof of work, and CryptoNode as original protocol, it was a CryptoNode, and we implemented it as a proof of work because by this time there was no practically working proof of stake scheme, especially for privacy, because to implement the proof of stake protocol in privacy chain is like a challenge itself. It's quite complicated, and you face a lot of technical problems, and technically speaking, the main reason why we have a hybrid system, why it's not proof of stake, because we still cannot overcome few potential, very theoretical, but still possible attacks. And most of them, it's the family of attack calls the long range attack, where you somewhere in the past, you can, for example, you can buy old wallets, already empty wallets from holders that was holding Zana like ages ago, maybe 2 years ago. You can theoretically buy and accumulate some amount of old coins, and using them, you can create you can create alternative chain and rebuild it from this time and make like huge, very deep reorganize and take over the network. And for that reason, we still need a proof of work because it's kind of the only protection that we have now. And speaking about proof of stake protocols, there is a two main families. I mean, I see it this way. There is a PBFT family of proof of stake protocols when you have a delegated group of people, the major stakers, who agree between each other about the dominated subchain. And because of this, you can have some sort of finality. You can prevent the network from deep reorganization. But we have a different, we call it statistical, but I don't know if there is any classification, where proof of stake block basically theoretically can create anyone. Doesn't matter how many coins you have. It's just a matter of probability. If you have more coins, you have more chances to create the block. On every head, you have chances. And with this approach, you cannot build finality. It works actually a little bit similar to proof of work in terms of protocol, because proof of stake with this approach has also its difficulty because it's adapt to the staking power. So it's quite similar. And because all I said, we need to have a proof of work as a part that protect us from long range attacks, from very deep reorganizing. But if you speak about most common attack, generic attack that happens like when you build reorganize in 10 or 20 blocks, actually proof of work is, I mean, I personally, it's my opinion that proof of stake is a main power that hold and give security to the blockchain, and proof of work is just for other things, as I explained.
I did see some proof of work experiments because proof of stake, I think, is much better for quick finality, right? If you want to have like 5-second blocks or something like this, it's much easier with proof of stake because you can assess much faster that the transactions are final and move on to the next block. So reorgs are less likely. But proof of work gives you much better thermodynamic security.
It's true for PBFT consensus. It's also proof of stake, but it's different. Proof of stake is a very generic term. It's just basically naming the approach, how we secure our consensus. But it has a few technical solutions, and as in my classification, in terms, there's two general approaches. One approach is PBFT family, which is also very good and very secure, but it's have a lack of decentralization, because you have just a dedicated group of entities that can generate the blocks, also elected by the amount of coins, and it's very practical because they can give you finality. But the model of proof of stake that we use, even if we would have even if we wouldn't have a proof of work component in our consensus, our proof of stake doesn't give you actual finality, but it gives you, due to its nature, it's very high security and deep reorganization. To perform deep reorganization, you would need to control a lot of coins. I mean, if you didn't break the protocol, if you found some way to break it. If you didn't break it, you need just a huge amount of money. The cost of attack will be very expensive, but you still theoretically can do it.
Tell us some numbers, like in terms of percentage of hash power, because a lot of coins could mean anything, but the strong part of our consensus is the percentages.
Well, actually, I cannot tell you numbers right now because we are working on. I mean, I'm probably going a little bit ahead of conversation. We are working right now on the new consensus upgrade proposal that we are getting reviewed, and we found some problems in it, but we fixed this. And with this proposal, we're gonna have a really fantastic numbers. And one of the things I'm asking for reviewers is to actually calculate the cost of attack, and it's going to be really, really expensive. Very similar to pure proof of stake, which is, I mean, if you speak about pure proof of stake, and assuming it's working, you need a 51% of accumulate somehow 51% of staking power, which is crazy money for any coin, even if you're, for example, market cap capitalization is like 10 million. If you starting to accumulate 50%, you will raise the price to the moon, and it will be like nearly impossible. I mean, it's not even possible to calculate it in any practical numbers because you, as soon as you start to buy, just can you imagine?
Yeah, totally. I mean the percentages.
50%, even trying to buy like a 10% of coin supply will raise the price to crazy numbers, and it's gonna cost like unreasonable money. And after all, it's really hard to calculate, because even if you bought all these coins, you spend like a few millions or tens millions or 100 millions of the coins, then you perform this double spend attack and you shoot in your leg, because like the project will be compromised, and that's, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, at least for me.
Okay, but what about, let's say that your adversary is a nation state that can print money and buy over extended periods of time to not leave traces, and can also trade and buy back to make sure that they don't cause this huge price pump, and they accumulate over 2 or 3 years enough coins to control the stake?
Of course they can do it. There is nothing impossible, but if you compare it with the proof of work, to take over the proof of network for the state or for like any big entity is way cheaper. Of course,
you don't need to buy anything. You can just rent the hash power or order the mining facility to do it for you.
There is no miracle in this things. It's always whatever we do with consensus, it always comes with a cost of attack. That's basically the only number that we are working with, and we're trying to build a system that will be most expensive to attack. And we never say that it's not possible. We're just saying that it will cost that
Financially
much.
impractical.
Yeah, that will cost that amount of money, and we can compare with other consensus. And actually, the reason why I became so convinced about proof of stake, because I had my experience and with a proof of work enough, and I learned my lesson in a bad way. When I was building the project, the first CryptoNode protocol itself was a proof of work, and then the project that I launched as a founder, and I learned it from my mistakes. I did the calculations. I saw how much money it costs to attack the proof of work project. So then we started to move to something else and started to do experiments with a proof of stake.
What is the proof of work algorithm that you're currently using? And is that nice hashable, meaning that you can rent GPUs? Because I know that right now Zano can be mined with your GPU. And is it possible to rent a lot of GPUs on the internet on websites like NiceHash and get a majority of the hash rate?
I don't think so. We made some changes to the Ethereum protocol, specifically to avoid the huge mining farms that could switch from Ethereum. And I
Yeah,
don't think we are like popular enough to NiceHash to enable the protocol, our version of protocol, but well, I'll have to check. So far, I don't think it happened.
Okay, what about the fact that you are the two co founders and you are public about your contributions, and you can get arrested and held at gunpoint and be made to make some crucial and big changes to the protocol, which can affect the ownership of coins? Do you see that as being possible as a way to break the system?
Well, people can do that, but users don't have to adopt those changes. We do not have any like control levers, and we have the same software every other user have, the wallet, which is a daemon and a node. And if at some point we introduce something malicious, people just won't upgrade to it, I think. I'm not gonna say I would like resist being tortured. I would probably say I would do whatever, but other people don't have to, and all our development is open source. So whenever you see something shady going on, just do not install the update.
I believe if Zana would be a real value to people, not only um, financial, in crypto, like most of, not most, but there is always some ratio of the people who are in the project just because they believe it's going to be more expensive, and they don't care about technology, don't care about values, or just see the financial opportunity. But as long as we have people who are really interested in the product that we are building, uh, I think it's the product and its values are in a safe zone. It's open source, as Pavel said. It's open. We're trying to get involved with other researchers. We are visiting a conference. We are going to Monero in a month, and we are speaking about the product and the technologies we are building to other people. And even if we got, which I really don't want, please don't arrest us. But if we got in troubles and got, I think that the value of the technology and the project will be still there for everyone who is interested. And if it's really needed, it's gonna be there.
I think the
And
question was if we can get compromised, like the entire system, which I don't think it can, because we do not have any like central server or the node or anything like that.
yeah,
And
we control repository in GitHub,
yeah,
but
you
if
can clone it, and that would be the same thing. And for the same reason, we get a lot of heat about that, because the upgrading our software is the pain. You have to go and manually download the whole thing, and we do not have like auto update button, but that's done on purpose, because every new binary you need to download and install yourself. You can build it from the sources, and you can make sure or have someone else to check if it was like compromised in any way. So I do not think it's worth uh, doing something to
Yeah, but
us.
for the mobile wallet, there's auto update. I did see that over a week or two that there were some features that were added in the background.
Yeah, but mobile wallet is not a network node. You cannot. Well, you can
wallet
theoretically.
wallet is the UI. It's not a node. It connects to remote nodes, and that thing is going away if we are going away because it's under our account in Google Play Store, and it's not a part of open source piece of code. Someone has to build it to be able to publish it in a store.
Well, I actually kind of feel what this question about, and I personally like some project that there is have a more decentralized structure. They have a more people, and I put as an example of well organized, really community driven project Monero. Often they really I saw on my eyes it was changed generations of different people who frontman project, different developers, and despite this rotation, they still very organized and
But it's
quite big
it's the
project.
same. It's the same thing. Someone gets to upload the bundle in the Google Play Store, and
Yeah,
whoever
they
that
even have
person
a
is, they pre-build the bundle and they could put whatever. So as long as you're using something distributed through digital store, you need to accept the possibility that you can get compromised by the people who uploaded the bundle. There is no way you can check what you are getting distributed from Google Play Store. You can only do
yeah.
that if you build it from the sources, from the GitHub, and that's not how mobile phones are operating. So either you ditch them altogether and not support any mobile platform, or you need to do the desktop way.
Yeah, and the direction where we're moving is we're actually integrating our wallet into Bitcoin.com, and we are integrating our wallet into Cake Wallet, and maybe a bunch of other wallets. We don't know for sure, but those two we're working closely. So the goal is still to build infrastructure and to make the project more decentralized. Even if they shut down our mobile application, there is going to be still it's open source native libraries that can be like super easily integrated in mobile wallets, and that's what we're trying to build. We even want to make other people run mobile wallets, because for us it's
Yeah, that's
extra
not the
cost
focus.
we pay for the mobile development. We are not I don't have a strong background in mobile development, but it's the whole different stack of knowledge, and I always struggle to build the native libraries. And Pavel, no, I'm very annoying because I'm not familiar with these frameworks, and it's a lot of headache for us. So we are really would be happy if there is going to be more third-party mobile wallets running not by Zana. We're just willing to focus on the source code, and that's it.
Okay, I have a couple of more questions, but until then, I gotta present one advertisement. Sideshift.ai is a website where you can go and swap any coin for something else. So, for example, if somebody pays you in USDT and you don't want to hold on to that one because it's centralized and because there's counterparty risk with Tether, you can swap that for BTC or whatever else that you find on the list and you find interesting. And the fees are pretty low. The swap is instant and it's super cool. So check it out, sideshift.ai, and thank you for sponsoring. And there is also Starkware, which is this avant-garde cryptography company, which right now is working on the Ethereum blockchain and they want to bring it to Bitcoin. And what they're building is called Starks. And these Starks are basically zero knowledge rollups without a trusted setup. They are much better than the snarks that are present in Zcash. And if they come to Bitcoin, they do need to have some sort of covenant software like Upcat. So check that out. I did an interview with Eli Ben Sasson from Starkware, and he explained everything. Their message is not necessarily that I should shill anything, just consider it, that this can bring some scalability and also some extra privacy to Bitcoin. So what I wanted to ask you guys at this point is, when I interviewed Roger Ver, and that was in March of this year, he name dropped Zano, and that's when I became curious about what this is. I didn't buy any at the time. I was just curious about, the wallet, the client, and the way in which it's described. And the most simplified definition of this project is Monero privacy, but for tokens. So my question for you right now is, how accurate is this description? And what is your relationship to the Monero project? Because you also mentioned it.
Well, I can describe the differences, and relationship with Monero is Andrey's experience. Have been,
All right.
yeah. So it's pretty accurate. I think it's a little bit more than that. It's not just Monero with privacy tokens, and it is correct that confidential assets, that's what we call our tokens, possess all the same privacy features as native Zano coin. But on top of that, we have the first ever completely anonymous proof of stake. This is a big thing for us. And those are like two essential pieces of our technology right now. And in terms of privacy, we are on par with Monero. But as relationship goes, I would leave it to Andrey, because he was the one building the whole thing all these years.
Yeah, there is a lot of history with Monero. I don't know. Should we go
Well,
to
you can
history?
briefly touch the topic, like what's CryptoNode, how Monero became Monero, and what are we doing here? That would be, I think.
The history is like 10 years ago, a little bit more. I was hired to the project that actually built CryptoNode protocol, built the first implementation of this, and then it was a very questionable launch, so I decided to leave the project and launch my own. And as soon as the sources was published, it liked by other people, so they created a fork that called Monero. And as I was building similar things, there was a lot of fight between Monero and my project and me personally. A lot of that's called tribal wars, I think. Yeah, and that was a lot of negativity involving Fluffy Pony. He was like messaging very bad things about me, which I didn't like. I tried to fight back, saying something back, which I'm not good in. But this, so yeah, we had a very negative story at the first few years, and then it was like this, and we were doing our thing. Started to work with Pavel. Started to build the whole new thing. It's working on this quite some time, and then at some point, I think it was on Twitter. There is a guy, Douglas Tuman. I don't know how to pronounce correct. The guy who runs Monerotopia show and Monero Talk show and Monerotopia. He invited me to his show. We started to chat. He was actually very welcoming, and then he invited us to Monerotopia, the conference, and then we met the guys who currently doing Monero, running Monero, developers from Monero, and they seems to be like cool persons. And for me, it felt like all this negativity left behind. It doesn't matter anymore, and we actually started to collaborate. Even before this, we started to collaborate with a great researcher from Monero Core. He helped us to build Arcanum. We hired him originally as a reviewer, but he quickly started to throw some ideas, so he became co-author, and he helped us to build this proof of stake on top of hidden amounts, which is like absolutely
Yes,
great thing.
it's the core thing
And
we got.
yeah. So it's turned out to be. I mean, see it as a mutually beneficial if we work together and help each other. And yeah, right now I see this relation with Monero pretty good, and we're happy to support Monerotopia. We really like this conference. We also go to MoneroCon and also trying to be a part of this. And they have a really amazing community of researchers, which is like super cool. I'm quite jealous about this. I wish Zana would have that much really bright people around. Yeah, so that's quick response
Wait, so
on
were
this.
you working on Bytecoin?
Yes, I was lead developer. I wrote
Being
basically.
modest, he built the thing, like the entire code base was written by that guy.
Yeah, I wrote original code base, but I didn't invent this. Don't want to take credit for this. There was another guy, cryptographer, who invented the protocol that called also CryptoNote. He was the guy I'm working with. He was basically
Was
he
that
told
Nicholas
me,
von
yeah,
Saberhagen or Thankful for Today?
that's no, Nicholas that's the nickname
It's not a real
for him.
name.
It's not real name. Yeah, he taught me basically all things about crypto back in these days, and yeah, basically he was educating me about this protocol, about this stuff, crazy stuff
Okay,
about
so
these days.
Nicholas von Saberhagen is basically the Satoshi Nakamoto of Monero, this pseudonymous
Well,
creator.
Yes,
I wouldn't
yep.
put it that way because he wasn't in charge with the business operations as well. He was the guy who came up with the math, but there was
Yeah,
like
he
an entire
was.
business
Yeah,
unit who actually ran and paid for everything and hired those guys.
yeah, that's correct. True.
Interesting. So you might know who he is.
Well,
I know who he is. We work it like he was sitting next table to me. I still in touch with him, and I meet him a few times in a year in different places. But that's he don't want to be public for many reasons. He don't want to take the credits for his amazing work. I don't know why
yeah, well, because it
exactly.
was spoiled. The launch was ruined, obviously, and that's not a good rep. And also, like a lot of attention to the early day crypto guys. I could see where he's coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I asked him to come to Monerotopia Incognita last time when we planned to visit there, but he was thinking about what he didn't want. Maybe he will come this year. I don't know. He didn't respond yet about this. He said he will think about it.
oh, if you want to come to Monerotopia this year, use code name, promo code, not code name, Vlad24. I think Douglas Tuman, I think that's how you pronounce it, set up this promo code for a discount if you use my code. So if
I will be speaking there. I think it's all already settled. We are sponsoring it and speaking, so I hope we don't buy tickets. Or
Yeah, we're
do
not
we?
supposed to
I,
that. And
I
yeah,
don't. But
a bit
thanks for
awkward.
the discount.
sure,
Yeah.
I was actually curious because there is this conspiracy theory, right, that Satoshi Nakamoto disappeared, and some Monero people claim that, of course, Satoshi went on to create Monero because he was not happy about his invention. He discovered some new cryptography, and then he turned into Nicholas von Saberhagen. So, do you believe that Nicholas von Saberhagen is also Satoshi Nakamoto?
And I know it for sure that it's not. It's not
Yeah, but this
Satoshi.
is the correct assessment. The reason why CryptoNote was created in the first place to fix the Bitcoin flows, but that's not Satoshi who thought of it, but other people, and that was the guy. So they somewhat right. It's just not the same person.
Okay, there's someone in the chat who asked if you spoke with Nicholas von Saberhagen about Zano and what he thinks about it?
Yeah, of course, he helped me to build Zana. He helped me to build a first version of proof of stake that I was telling this already a few times. He actually supported me a lot when I separated myself from Bitcoin when I quit, and the founder of the Bitcoin was really unhappy with this, and it was kind of instruction not to speak with me from anyone else. But Nicholas was supportive, and even when I had some moments of desperation because I struggled back in 2014, I was building my own proof of work function, and there was a moment when I was struggling, and I messaged him, look, it seems that I doing something that I'm not supposed to. I'm not a cryptographer. Why am I doing it at all? And he supported me a lot at this moment. I remember it because he said, no, you have your ideas, you should keep going, continue. I was building, my idea was to build memory hard hash function based on the Kitchak hash by these years. And then I remember this helped me a lot because I continued to this research, and I finally built this memory hash function, which became the basis of those Bulberry project. So yeah, and he then when I decided to build new thing with a hybrid or proof of stake and started to brainstorm this, he helped me to build it and to create this the whole concept of stake modifier based on key images. Yeah, he was very supportive all this time. I even sent him some Zana coins after the launch from Genesis block.
Oh, that's very cool. I wanted to point this out because there's a lot of drama in this community, and Ricardo Spani Fluffy Pony tweeted this just a month ago, and he said, I keep mumbling. Thankful for today was a criminal, part of the Bitcoin scammers. He was also Russian, as there is plenty of evidence that Bitcoin and CryptoNote originated as an RBN project. What's RBN?
Russian Business Network. That's
Okay,
a part
so
of conspiracy.
let me also finish. I know
He's
Taco Time very
still
well.
saying this lie. Oh, that's crazy. I thought Ricardo is all left this behind, but he's still saying this silly things.
Yeah, he said, I know Taco Time very well. He was neither Russian nor was he part of RBN, nor was he a scammer. I don't know. So who's thankful
Taco Time?
for today?
Well, I prefer not to answer this question, not because that I'm trying to hide something, but I signed an NDA when I quit Bitcoin. That was part of the agreement with.
No, but I didn't ask you
foundation.
to reveal the identity. I just asked you who is he, what is his work or contribution.
Well, that's the part of the things I promised not to tell. But I mean, from the fact that I'm not telling this, I think it's quite obvious that the guy wasn't average community person. I believe that's someone who was playing his role and then just disappeared. That's it.
But what Ricardo said, that he knew the guy and he's not the part of the thing? Was that?
No, the thing about Russian Business Network (RBN), that's a crazy crap. I mean, this is absolutely stupid conspiracy that people keep bringing. I mean, maybe people like conspiracy, but this is bullshit. None of the people who was building Bitcoin and the CryptoNote protocol, none of these people are criminals. And absolutely, it's a bullshit. Why would he keep saying this?
Because it's a good narrative.
Yeah, but it's so dumb. That's even if you look at the back, if you look into the situation from current perspective after 2017, if you look at this, the guys built the whole technology, the whole new technology. It was first project which was built from the scratch. We built the completely new code base, new protocol, and this protocol more sophisticated, more effective compared to anything that was existed by this time, and delivered the whole new thing. And they lied only about the coin supply that was in circulation and how much they own. But these days everybody does the wash trade, and every I mean, DeFi project is doing the same stuff, and people are fine. And but by these days, I mean, I didn't like it, and I quit Bitcoin because of this, because I didn't want to be part of this project that launched this way. But it wasn't criminal. They didn't steal anything from anyone. They delivered the whole new technology. But I believe
I
these
think we
days,
should separate the business side of things and the technology,
yeah,
because
of course.
you're kind of coming close to the defending the business decision, which we are not trying to say.
No, I'm not defending, but I'm defending developers and the people who was building
we
Bitcoin.
should make that separation
And
clear.
if you look into back to these days, first months, as soon as Monero, Ricardo and other guys took over Monero, they needed to separate themselves from Bitcoin, and they created this very negative and aggressive narrative about this is run by Russians, this is criminals, scammers, and whatever dirt they have, they all threw it to everyone they can find. And because by this time there was unclear what is by that moment that was unclear what is Monero. They didn't have great researchers yet. They didn't have they have a quickly growing community, but it was still a very young project. So to separate themselves and to make themselves important and meaningful, they just created this very negative thing. And he keeps saying this now, which is like really seriously now. I mean, I understood why it was happening this way back in these years, but now, why would he saying this?
I don't know. I'm just doing my job here. I just presented something that's public and it's out there. And I thought it's interesting because in this privacy field, you always have these fights, and it's mostly infighting. When it comes to operating systems on your mobile phone, you have Calyx and you have Graphene, and they're super toxic with each other, even though they're very similar. And when it comes to privacy coins, you have Zcash and Monero, and they both criticize each other, and they don't really tolerate each other or see each other as complementary. It's almost as if there can only be one, and this is the way in which they act. Also with VPNs, it's the same.
It's very typical for I don't know. I was thinking about this a lot because that's very every blockchain projects that somehow connected, they polarized people, and probably because it's also connected to money and the personal interest, people became even more polarized. And then it's even affect technology side, because when you're a part of one project, you are becoming tribal. You're protecting whatever these projects are. For example, if you're part of Monero project, then you have to protect proof of work, because it's pure proof of work project. And there is a building the cult about proof of work being more honest than proof of stake, which is also it's not true. And there is it's comes to every single thing that you have in this project, that you are starting to protect this. And this actually creates a lot of resistance in building or improving your project into something more effective, because then after you said some things on the fights with other people, because you don't want to lose the fights, you don't want to lose the face, so you was criticizing whatever other projects are doing, and then you hesitate to take something that they are building. For example, other projects are using GPU focused proof of work, then you will be using CPU focused proof of work, even if you're in the same camp of proof of work projects. And I saw it so many times, and especially at the beginning with Monero, because I had a little bit of difference and innovations in my project, and I was even giving some suggestions about, for example, the pruning signatures, the something that my first project had all since the beginning, something that in Bitcoin was called SigWit. We created it even before Bitcoin in 2014 because I was familiar with ideas of Gregory Maxwell, and we use it. And I called it pruning signatures. And
You
I
mean
had
pruning?
so many pruning,
Yeah.
pruning. And
Because
I
it
created,
sounds a bit like running, and maybe some
no,
Americans will be
pruning,
confused.
pruning. Yeah, thank you, pruning. So basically, when you drop the signatures after some, when you go deep or after checkpoints, and that's actually a brilliant idea. And I was actively criticized by this time, like in 2014, by Monero front running guys. They was blaming me, like it was silly arguments, but it was working. They created narrative that it doesn't work, it's broken, it's blah blah blah. And then at some point they implemented this too, also in Monero, in a little bit different way, but it's basically the same idea that Maxwell created. So that's things that build that's negativity that is very common in projects that actually create a lot of resistance and improving those projects. And I think money comes as some sort of money is just amplify this polarization even more because it's have a stake, you're invested in it, you want your project to get to the moon or whatever, and it goes beyond any reason. It's very sad part of the crypto, unfortunately.
Don't you think it's a thing of the past? Because apart from Fluffy Pony, who clearly lives in 2014, the rest of Monero developers are pretty open to collaboration, and we see ourselves as being open to the ideas. Even now,
Yeah.
we are working on a several projects that would include other privacy projects coming together to create some sort of interoperability layer.
Yeah, I mostly meant yeah, of course, it's very true, absolutely true for researchers. Researchers are more reasonable people, and they not that vocal normally in community. Community has its own more vocal people who are maybe some of them just doing their job and promoting the project, and it probably works. And I just was describing the situation as I saw it like during these years, and I watched it like in a very bad in a way, and I experienced myself it also everywhere, and yeah, that was pretty ugly. And for me, actually, Monero is the most successful project that built on top of CryptoNote, and I'm kind of really proud of this project because it's also I have my name on the source code everywhere, and it's also kind make me feel really good, and I really wish all success to the project, and really wish to help if I can be helpful. But yeah, that's what we often see. But yeah, these days it's way better than it was before.
Yeah.
Also, there's a weird thing about privacy because privacy is like a tiny piece for the mainstream crypto people don't know or care about. Like it's been, I don't even know if it's been discovered. I think it's like has its own niche and people fighting over some tiny percent of the market cap. And I see that approach is wrong. You should like at least fight outside to convince people to join privacy, not figure out who's the best privacy project because like you're all doing better than the majority of public crypto.
And that's a good point. I was involved in the Wasabi versus Samurai wallet battles on Twitter a few times. They're not that different. There are some significant differences between them, of course, at the architecture level. But honestly, someone who uses Samurai or Wasabi is miles ahead someone who just uses Electrum on Bitcoin. And that's something that doesn't get said too often because the tribalism is too strong. And sometimes you're inclined to say, you know, instead of using that one, you're better off just using, I don't know, some mobile wallet on your phone, which is SPV. And that's a horrible idea. It's a privacy nightmare, but it's just
Yeah,
how this operates
totally.
sometimes. But I think, Andrei, in what you said, you confirmed something that Fluffy Pony has said, that he is not Nicholas von Saberhagen. And you
Me?
basically, yeah.
No, I'm not. I never said that I am.
No, you said that Fluffy Pony is not, because some people
No, he's
believe
not
that he is.
100%.
Fluffy pony.
Yeah,
I
they
don't
call
even
him the
think
creator of
Fluffy pony.
Monero.
Yeah, but
Yeah, that's
he's
because you know that.
it's like calling Michael Saylor Satoshi Nakamoto. He like took over it and was a main like vocal person and maybe a maintainer, but he didn't build the thing.
He
He
didn't
became a
build a
head
thing.
person.
He also made a few quite, I would say that was a
Okay,
crime for me,
we-
criminal
right.
things. For example, he cut the copyright from original source code of Bitcoin, which is, I believe it's a crime. And speaking of
And you're the
criminals,
Russian, right? You're from the country that doesn't respect to, copyright too much.
Yeah, they
uh,
did. This is why we left it.
yeah, but yeah. And I mean, we may not respect, but we don't cut the copyright. And that's something is not, uh, uh, it's something that's not practicing in the open source community. And also at the very first months, they put everywhere. I mean, can you imagine? There was a project built, completely code base was built, and the whole technology was built and launched. It was ready, complete product that they copied and was launched, right? It was the one line. The difference was a block time. There's only difference from the Bitcoin when Monero was launched. There was a 1 minute block, and they go everywhere in the internet and started to put the Monero ring signatures, Monero kryptonite, and Monero. They branded everything with Monero like it was created by Monero, which is also, I mean, I understand they didn't like the Bitcoin, they didn't like us, and didn't like whatever is connected to this, but it's not the excuse to confuse people and lie about this. And even still now, if you go to Wikipedia and read about Monero project, I don't know why, but if you read there, it's written that Nicholas Saberhofen created the white paper, and then Monero implemented this white paper, which is absolutely not true. They didn't implement. They just took the ready like project, and then they started to build a community around this running blockchain and learned how it works and did a deep research. And then after few since it's 2015, 16, they started to do a really great job on consolidating researchers around, people attracting a lot of attention to it. That was perfectly well done. Yeah, but I don't like that our regions are erased.
My God, this is so much spicier than I expected. I hope that the
Yeah,
Monero people watch this too, because most of them have no context of the history
yeah.
of the
We've
project.
been over it a bunch of times, but at the time we didn't have the podium, like to, because there was just this guy building his own project, and the only way he could fight back is to post something on Bitcoin.talk forum, being not a native speaker even, and having to run the project at the same time. So the firepower was really unequal in that fight, and this is one of the reasons he lost. If he had a
Yeah,
community siding with him, it could be entirely different story.
Oh, you
there was
didn't lose. You have
actually,
Zano now, right? You're building your
No,
own
but
project.
we recreated it from like it's very different from the original crypto
yeah,
note and Bitcoin. We basically have to redo the whole thing, so it's another go.
they had a very different people in Monero community. Even back then, there was a toxic and aggressive people like this, but also there was people who actually liked Bulberry, and it was people from Monero who actually paid for the first mining pool, for developing first mining pool for Bulberry, which was quite challenging. It was a very twisted, not twisted, how to say it, very tricky hash function that wasn't running alone. You need to provide some big data chunk for it. And yeah, I've got also support from other people that I don't know. These people are disappeared now. I don't know where. There was a guy named Author. He's still on the Monero org, the website, but I don't know where he is now. But back in these days, he was very supportive. So Monero is not a one person. It was very different people around it, and I think it's wrong to speak about or address some sad memories to the project. It would be more correct to address some negative experience that I had to particular people that was targeting me because of their own reasons.
Okay, I'll ask you a question, then I'll present the ads, and you can say the answer of the question after the ads.
Right?
And the
We'll have
question
some
is,
time.
would you say right now that Zano is better than Monero? Don't answer. It's a yes/no question. You're
Fucking evil
supposed to
question.
say yes or no. But I gotta tell you right now about Layer 2 Labs, which is this company that's trying to build two-way peg sidechains the way that Blockstream described back in their 2014-2015 paper. And these drive chains basically can help Bitcoin have every use case on a dedicated sidechain. Of course, there are some trade-offs with miners receiving more power because these sidechains are gonna be enforced by them. But there is a game theory in place, and you're encouraged right now to go to their website, which is layer2labs.com. You can read everything about this project and this initiative by Paul Stortz. And also, you're encouraged to get the Signet software. So basically, you can get the clients for a Zcash sidechain, for an Ethereum sidechain, for a Namecoin sidechain, for domains and stuff, for a big block Bitcoin sidechain, for a lot of data and whatever. And you can interact and send transactions from the Signet between them and see how this works. And imagine if this is the future that you want for Bitcoin. So layer2labs.com, check that out. And last but not least, I gotta tell you about hodling.ch, which is this company from Switzerland. And what they do is that they help you with your self custody. It doesn't matter what kind of coin you're holding. If you're a whale or you're accumulating a lot of coins, maybe that you want to improve your setup, and you reach out to these guys, they provide to you that famous Swiss privacy, and they're gonna tell you which hardware wallet to use or whether or not you should use one, if you need a multi-sig for your setup, and all of these steps that are important to make sure that you're not gonna lose your coins and you're not vulnerable to the $5 rent attack either. So go to hodling.ch, and also if you lost your keys, or lost your keys means that you have maybe 20 out of 24 words or something like that, they can also help you with brute forcing your wallet. Of course, they're gonna charge you a fee for that, but it's also a service that they offer. So hodling.ch, check them out. And thanks to all of the sponsors for making this happen and keeping the content independent, because unlike a lot of podcasters, and I'm ranting right now, I never charged any guest any sort of money for being here. I can do whatever the hell I want, and it's because of the sponsors. Now, let's get the answer, Andrey. Would you say that Zano is better than Monero?
I don't have a short answer. I have a big answer. You give me time to think. First of all, if you it's really hard to compare Zano and Monero as a product because we are different products. We are building the platform for the people to build on top of it, and Monero is building a pure coin for paying the cup of tea, and it's really hard to compare it. But if you speak about, I mean, you can compare products and you can compare projects. As a project, we also quite different. And Monero has a really big community of researchers. I keep saying this, and they have a lot of very talented and bright people. which creates a very strong and solid background combined all together, and they proven to be quite innovative, and they keep delivering innovations, maybe not that fast, but in a very consistent way. And I really like this about this project, and that's amazing. They have a lot of eyes who look into the code base, so it's less chances that they will have a bug or something. And compared to Monero Zana, is we are way smaller, and because we want to also innovate and bring new stuff and deliver stuff, we are doing more risky stuff. We risk more. We sometimes make that, for example, if you have a big community-driven project, the decision-making process is harder. You have to find the consensus between the community or the group or of researchers. I don't know exactly how they run it, but I know that it's a project that is run with like a big group of people. And sometimes we make quick decisions, risky decisions, and Zarkano was example of this. We took the risk. We put all our resources, which are quite limited, to implement this technology, which worked out, seems to be. But I cannot even tell you how much risk we took and how many things could go wrong with this. So I don't think we can compare. We are smaller projects and we have a different strategy to survive. And that's my answer to it.
Okay. But let's think about it this way. On Zano, you can issue these tokens, and we can talk about this also, and it's important to mention it. But if you send Zano and not any other token to someone else, how is it different from sending Monero to someone else?
At this moment, if you ask only about privacy aspects, right?
Yes.
All right. So at this moment, the privacy aspects, it depends from decoy ring. I'm not sure what the ring size at Monero right now, but they have a longer history of the blockchain with the hidden amounts. So I assume they have a more. We switched to hidden amounts just with Zarkanum hard fork, and we have a less how to say it, less decoy subset which exists in the blockchain, and they obviously have I believe they have a better privacy so far at this moment because of the longer blockchain with the hidden amounts. Also because they more use it, they have more transaction on the network transaction flow, and this also important for the blockchain, for the privacy in the blockchain, because if you have a more transactions in the blocks, you have a more decoys to hide behind these decoys, right? So they have a bigger user base, more transaction flow, and also give some advantage over Zana compared to Zana because we are a smaller project. So if answering directly to your answer, sending me coin to you would be more private at Monero at this moment. But in the future, with Zana having tokenization, because every transfer of token, not even native Zana, if you transfer some coin, it from a third-party observer, it looks absolutely the same. You cannot make the difference from transaction, let's say native coins or tokens. And with a growing user base and people are using tokens, we will quickly have also big decoy subset in the blockchain that will help us to have same level of privacy.
I respect your honesty. Seriously. Like you could tell me, this Zano is great, and we have these fundamentals that if you get more than 100 transactions per block, it becomes deflationary. And of course, you should use Zano because if everyone uses it, it's gonna get much better privacy than Monero and blah blah. But you're technically correct, and you're honest about it. And
Yeah, that's why
I can't
probably
hate you.
some of the team, some of the people in the team will tell me after this call that, yeah, fuck, what were you talking about?
We don't have that kind of people, though. We do not.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Probably it's my
In
mistake.
terms of
you could say,
privacy, Monero is better. Let's just make some conclusions. In terms of liquidity, Monero is better as well because we have fewer exchanges and way less people using it. What we can probably do better, we have more features. So we could compare that. And obviously, if we thought that Monero is perfect and it doesn't have any room for improvement, we wouldn't be doing the things we are doing right now. We still believe that our approach is better in the long run because this is where cryptocurrency industry moving towards. Like back in 2012, people imagined they will be using Bitcoin to pay for things. Right now, people only use Bitcoin as a store of value. And there is another story how did that happen, but this is the reality right now. And as far as payments go, people use stable coins. That's what they do. This is how our payroll works. This is how any cryptocurrency transaction, including something like when you purchase goods and services, you use stable coins. This is why we believe that tokenization is the essential part for being like an actually usable cryptocurrency. This is why we are moving in that direction.
I can mention
do you believe that you can build a private stablecoin on Zano?
Well, we're not going to build it because that would imply us to have the collateral, but we can provide tools for other people to do that because current stablecoins are built not by the Ethereum team, by the vendors, but they have all the tools they need provided to them by Ethereum team. We want to do the same. We can build the platform. We have a strong and secure consensus, and we allow privacy by default, and other people could utilize that to the best of their abilities because we don't have financial background. We don't know how to run a stable coin, but we know how to do crypto, the privacy in crypto. We could provide a solid foundation for someone else to work on.
Yeah, and I have a last quick note about if we continue compare with Monero, so Zano doesn't look that weak. We have one thing that is way better than Monero. It's consensus. Proof of stake and our hybrid consensus is way stronger. And I was actually trying to convince Monero developers and community to switch to proof of stake at some point because I believe it will be after they finish full membership proof. I think the changing consensus will be the last thing that will make Monero really perfect. And I even was on the last Monerotopia, I was on the panel with a proof of stake against proof of work. But it seems didn't convince people, even though I was trying to be very reasonable. We even had a Peter Todd on this panel, but he was yeah, but real Satoshi. But he was bringing all arguments against proof of stake from 2014. So yeah, it didn't work very well. But I found another approach how to.
What panel was it?
It was a panel proof of work against proof of stake at Monerotopia last year.
Oh, so you are on the stage to debate?
Yeah, I was on the panel. I was I believe I was the most evangelist of the proof of stake there. It was my idea. I asked Douglas to create this panel so I can promote idea of proof of stake in Monero community because I really believe that's what they need. I really believe it, and I know it. I mean, I know it really good because proof of consensus that they use right now implemented by me. I know it very well. I know the problems of this, and I was trying to convince it, but it was really hard because the the guy who was running the panel, he started with the he was like biased very, very much. I can tell it. He was like bringing, is it like a proof of stake same as a greedy banking system, and the questions like this. I was like, seriously, but I think I know how to still. I think I found the way how to bring the idea of proof of stake. We do our new proposal of for our project for the proof consensus upgrade, and I asked it to as a reviewers some of Monero developers to be the reviewers. So they will review. They help me to improve consensus, and they also will see the how effective it's compared to proof of work. I believe this may change opinion of some people in Monero community. I mean, in the Monero research community, and I believe in not maybe this years, but in 5 or 8 years, they will switch to new consensus model. It's probably going to be some different proof of stake, but it's going to be proof of stake. They will shift from proof of work to something quite soon. I'm totally, I can bet on this.
I just checked, given the nature of the conversation and how we were pretty comparative and adversarial. I was thinking if anyone is live trading while we're having this conversation, but it seems like none of the points that we talked have had any influence on the price over the last hour or so. So the swing from an hour ago is actually zero right now. It's still at the same price. And I mean Zano.
You
And
speak about price of Monero?
I don't want to talk about the price of Monero.
Okay.
Yeah, me neither.
But it's interesting, and I was curious to see how much this impacts. Maybe some people will listen and they will react accordingly. As I said in the beginning, I don't advise you to buy anything. I'm not gonna tell you buy Zano right now because it's great. It's technically interesting. It's something that can teach us something about cryptography and privacy. And right now I want to ask you, I think the selling point for Zano is that you can issue these assets, these tokens. And my question for you is, how private are they? And what is private about them and what is not private?
Well, we probably mentioned that a couple of times already, but it's the same level of privacy as the native Sana coins. There are literally no difference. I mean, to the user, the only difference would be that you still have to pay fees with the native Zano coins. Apart from that, it's absolutely the same thing.
That's a magic for me. I'm really excited about this. That's technology that Val invented. And actually, Pavel was the guy who had the visionary and pushed us to invent this technology. He
Yeah,
said,
I wanted it.
guys,
But he did it.
guys,
So it's not the
make
same
it,
thing.
make this is useful thing. People don't pay for the coffee with Zana or Monero or Bitcoin. People pay for the coffee with stable coins. We have to build this and build it in a smart way. And then we was brainstorming this forever, and then Val come up with like really brilliant ideas, and then he was and then it became real.
So who came up with the idea?
Amazing. I mean, the idea that we have to build this, it's Pavel's idea. He's the father of tokenization of confidential token, but the technology under this built and invented by Val, our main mathematician guy, core developer. While he's he's known under the name Soul in our team, but his like real name Val. He will be speaking at Monerotopia in November.
Okay.
I think he'll be speaking on the assets as well. So that's the topic.
Yeah.
I ran an experiment for this interview and I installed the Zano wallet and I created this asset which is called Bitcoin Takeover Podcast Season 15 Episode 60 Airdrop Token. I made 100 of them, but initially minted 69. If there's anyone listening right now who wants to try this and wants to receive an asset and see how this works, experiment with it, I can send you one of these for free. And I really have some questions about this because I did some previous experimentation with another token on Zano that's called Vlad Coin. It's VLAD, I think, in the ticker. and I was not able to batch transactions, and that was my biggest concern with this. That it can't really scale in the sense that you create this token, maybe that you want to have a decentralized private internet company, or maybe that you want to have maybe ownership in something that you don't want to reveal to the rest of the world. And then you're gonna mint the token, and then you want to share the tokens, but you need to do individual transactions for every amount that you're sending out. You can't put them together like in Bitcoin where you have one input and multiple outputs. You need to have one input and one output at all times, and then wait 10 minutes. I think it's not 10 minutes, but 10 blocks until.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
actually an interface issue. First of all, you can do a bunch transaction. It's just not available in the mobile wallet using the command line interface. You can do that. And another issue that you've been facing is the change, because you receive your tokens in one big chunk of outputs. And when you send a fraction of it, you have to wait for the change to come back, and the confirmation time is 10 blocks. But I believe we addressed it already. And on creation, you have like a set of outputs, so you can make a few transfer right away. But if we are talking of enterprise setup, it should be done with the command line interface and using distribution script. And maybe we could move it to the uh, like desktop wallet maybe at some point. I mean, technically it is possible. The only limitation we have, we can only do 30 outputs per transaction. That's our current capacity, but you can send batch of 13.
Okay.
yeah.
Anyway,
It's
if there's anyone in the
basically
chat that wants to get one of these BTC TKVR tokens, drop your address either in the chat, in the comments. If you're gonna listen to this later when I publish it on Spotify, you can send it to me as a Twitter DM or something. I just want to give people the chance to try something regarding this so they don't feel like it was just this conversation that lasted for a couple of hours. It was also something that they can try. Once again, you don't need to buy anything. You just get a wallet and you try this and you figure out how it works for yourself.
Yeah, that would be nice. I mean, we put a lot of work in it.
yeah. I can give a little comments about this problem that you mentioned. That's the we are UTXO project and like a Bitcoin, but unlike Bitcoin, we cannot order transactions. So for that reason, we have to wait exchange to change to get confirmed, because in Bitcoin wallet can see the order because it's know to which transaction each transaction linked. So you can send the bitcoins without waiting actual confirmation of this. And in Zana, and basically in privacy transactions, you cannot actually link transactions, though. So you cannot make the order. So this transaction can get first and this one get next. You don't know, and for that reason, you cannot send coins that is not get confirmed. So you have to wait until the change got confirmed. So it's not that we are like lazy to fix this issue. It's just a technological limitations that we face, and we making kind of workarounds for this. So you can as soon as you, for example, mint some token, it's create like a bunch of outputs right from the mint transaction, and you can use it. And you also, as Pavel mentioned, you can send transaction to multiple destinations, like up to 30. But we didn't put it into mobile wallet because it was not really convenient to make it. But maybe we will reconsider. We can make multiple destinations. Yes.
That can be really cool because most people will not have fun sending 10 or 20 transactions or something to distribute their
Yeah,
tokens.
that's true.
Yeah, we heard a lot of complaints, so it has been addressed already. That's probably not in the version that you are using right now, or maybe it is. I don't remember. But if it's not, it's coming shortly.
So we talked about the decentralization factor when I asked you what can potentially happen if you guys get compromised. But let's also talk about the economics of the project and how this was designed. Like, do you have a limited supply? I know that you get 1 coin per block in terms of subsidy, so you're going to have 60 coins per hour, 1,440 per day.
Yep, that is correct.
So is there a limit to this, and how do you reduce the supply? Because I understand there's also a burning mechanism with fees.
Pavel, you want to speak about this?
Yeah, sure. We do not have a limit. It's a thing called tail emission, and it will be going on forever. The emission size is flat 1 coin per block, which we could potentially reduce if our consensus algo would turn out to be as efficient as we think, because it's only there basically to protect the consensus. And in terms of burning fees, all the fees that are being generated on the network, it doesn't matter if it's a Zana coin transfer or any asset transfer or other types of transactions, because we get quite a lot. We have aliases registration and aliases transfers. We have marketplace offers. We got like all kinds of weird transactions on chain, and every fee from all of those transactions are getting burned. So assuming we'll have a use of steady transaction throughput, it could potentially become deflationary or at least limit the emission to some reasonable number, which I believe we already have a reasonable number, because at that point we have 2% emission a year, which is not a lot, and it will only reduce because it's a flat 1 coin per block. So with raising supply, the percentage of emission would fall even without burning fees, but we could even tilt it below zero. So yeah, that's the emission situation in Zano.
Okay, so in Monero, do the fees also get burned, or is this exclusive to the design of Zano?
It is, yeah, it's our thing. Is it? Like, you seem confused.
Yeah, I just don't want to be the only person who speaks.
Okay.
Just
Oh yeah, this is one of the features we came up with. Not came up, we saw it everywhere, and people seem to like it. People like the idea of limited supply, but for technical reasons, we cannot introduce that because we believe that the Bitcoin curve for a smaller project is a death sentence. It's not going to work. There will never be enough transactions to repay the miners or stakers for their efforts. And maybe Bitcoin will get away with it, but anything smaller than that, it's a death sentence. This is why we have a flat emission, and our burning fees is the way to fight the actual emission while still preserving the block fees.
Okay, Andrey, you said you don't want to jump in because you didn't want to take up all the time. But
yeah.
on the question of fees and whether or not this is something unique to Zano with the burning of fees, do you have anything to add?
Basically, Pavel said that it was actually his incentive to bring this.
Yeah, again, it's not something like really complex or complicated. This is just the basic economy of the project. And we thought we need some way to address the emission because people don't like it, even though it's a good thing for security. But our system mainly designed for security. Not a lot of people understand that, but everything, staking rewards, block rewards, everything is there because of the security, not because we see it as like an interest paying mechanism. And a lot of people assume that if they see staking, this is the way for them to earn revenue, which is not, it's like a side effect. So we have to like keep them happy somehow, but keep the system secure. this is why we came up with that design.
Yeah, some people actually think, and I also see it a lot in the dialogues and chats that I have about consensus. Some people think that we are introducing proof of stake because we want to actually motivate people to hold money. So it's all made for financial incentive, but it's so much not about this. Even people who ask why mobile wallet is not staking, because and why we don't have some delegated stake or something. We do it on purpose because staking is the actual job. You have to keep your computer running and doing its job to get rewarded, and that's the only way it's work or ever gonna work in Zano. We don't care much about how much interest it actually gives, and we even can reduce block reward for stakers to reduce the. I don't know if we're gonna do this, but we can theoretically we could reduce the block reward for proof of stake, because it's basically always find the equilibrium. So right amount of stakers keep staking, so it's keep them reasonable. So it's like around 3 to 4 to 5% annual interest. So yeah, staking is a job that is paid for.
Okay, so
I'm not sure if I made my point correctly, because I kind of lost myself in the middle of my thought.
also need to ask you about how this scales, right? Because you mentioned something about pruning, but honestly, under this private environment, you can't really have a fast network, right? With a lot of transactions per second. So what are the limitations of the project, and what happens if you suddenly get like an entire nation state of 1 million people or more starting to use Zano? How does it scale?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, scaling is a subject that was my concern for ages, for a very long time. The problem of, the challenge of privacy blockchain, the transaction every transaction validation perform quite tricky and sophisticated computations, and it's more expensive in terms of calculations compared to trivial transactions from Bitcoin or Ethereum, and that's quite challenging for us. And yeah, we still something like 12 to 15 transactions per second at the maximum capacity. I'm not even entirely sure how the network would be, how stable would network be at that much of transactions. We never faced anything like this before, but it's something that we saw calculated from the timing of transactions and from our stress test that we was performing some years ago. So yeah, it's still a challenging process to solve. There is a few directions to solve it. One direction is optimizing transaction, which is really hard because almost everything which we have is optimized to maximum. And the second direction is scaling, making it parallel, or we can make some hardware requirements, like for example, if you want to run modern Ethereum node, you have to have quite a lot of memory, very fast hard drive. So we probably can do this limitation, or we can go to something into splitting validation into something like called subchains, or some other people call it, I forgot the name.
Sharding.
Sharding. So basically split between validators. So validators validate some part of the transactions, and then it goes to one single chain. But yeah, at this moment we are not super fast. We cannot be as fast as Solana, for example, or Ton, or any other networks that have this option to quickly merge transaction because of they have a balance tree based structure. Yeah, it's very challenging. Still working on this.
I don't think we are. I mean, we have few ways to address that, but seeing things as they are, we are nowhere near the capacity, and that would take some time for us to even reach 50% of the network capacity. At that point, we'll work out the plan and some steps. Right now, we have like few ways to explore it, but that's frankly that wasn't the number one item on the agenda because we have like a lot more urgent stuff to deal with. But if we ever get there, that would be our main concern.
Well, there is always solution to switch to PBFT and delegate, validate. I mean, we can sacrifice the privacy for stakers and tell, all right, if you want to be a staker, you have to get out from the privacy zone and become a validator, throw some amount of money to be part of this PBFT protocol. And then you can basically increase speed, because with PBFT, you can basically tell that, okay, those guys are validating transactions. They can do it with a set of hardware that can scale up to 100 transactions per second. And the other node will be validating as much as they can, and then can just receive the payments. But I really don't want to go this way, because it's not really decentralized. It's not.
Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah, I would.
the project ethos. I would rather have it
Yeah.
slow but completely decentralized and anonymous, like the way we build things right now.
I can tell that you're not a marketer, Andrey, because you say some
Absolutely
stuff that's
not.
very unpopular among the very hardcore privacy
Absolutely.
people.
Yeah, I've been told this many times.
But you're an engineer, you just think about solutions and you're like, yeah, we could use this.
That's my only excuse, that I'm technical guy, so I don't know how to sell things.
There is generic name 123 who just received one of these Bitcoin takeover tokens on Zano from me. And I noticed that the transaction fee is 0.01 coins. That right now is about 6 cents. And it's a bit ironic that Roger Ver is one of your supporters, because he always complained about high fees in Bitcoin, but it seems like as the price goes up in Zano, the fees also increase exponentially. Or proportionately, not exponentially. So, what about the fees? Can you address this, or do you think this is fine? Is this gonna be like this forever?
Now, this is not a hard rule, and it could be changed at any moment. I think in Q4 this year we're supposed to have a fee market. Maybe Andrey can explain more.
Yeah, we will just utilize the best practice from the big projects, similar to Ethereum like projects. The way they handle it is just if you have a high demand, you'll raise the fee to protect network against the transaction flood. And as soon as you have a idle transaction or regular transaction network, you'll drop it as low as it's possible, because basically transactions itself is quite cheap in terms of I mean, for network, having transactions is super cheap. So yeah, it's
And
we just didn't build this yet because we had such a crazy roadmap during last few years, which was like absolutely crazy, especially last months before Zarkanum and last months after Zarkanum. We had a very hard time, and that was the transaction fees was a kind of low priority for now, until now. But we got a lot of questions about this, and we have different proposals, internal proposals, how we can build this, and that's gonna happen Q4 or Q1 of 2025.
Yeah, also we mentioned a couple of times that those fees aren't going anywhere. They've been burned, so we don't really need to have them. The only reason for fees in our system is to prevent the transaction flood. It's not like a funding mechanism or anything. It's just there to prevent people from spamming the network. And we could have it like at any reasonable number.
Yeah, it's funny. Someone in the chat mentioned that he believed that Zano was a private version of Nano, and Nano is something that has no transaction fees, and was surprised that we talk about fees.
I don't
Yeah, I
know.
remember Nano. Is it still a thing? I remember it back in 2017. It was like Rai blocks at some point, then they
Oh, really?
Nano. Yeah, but I haven't heard about them in a long time. It was a cool project at the time. I don't know what happened to it.
Anyway, there are a few questions from the audience, and I think this would be nice to take some of them. On YouTube, there is Barbaric Reels who says, "Hello all, what's the dev tax? Got here late."
None, if I
What,
get it
what
right.
is what is the question?
Dev tax?
Dev tax? I don't know. We have pre-mine.
Yeah, but there are
And
no tax. Like if
no
in
tax.
terms of getting a cut of the block rewards, we got none. If
Okay,
that's what
what's the pre-mine then?
it could be seen in the block explorer right now. It's sitting around 800,000 coins, I think, but it's on an auditable wallet. It's public for everyone to watch.
Yeah, if we don't have a cut, but we stake with this the fund, so we have some.
Yeah, that's the funding mechanism.
Yeah.
So
We
basically, you
also
pre-mine, then you're using those coins to stake, and you're using the staking rewards as opposed to spending the pre-mined coins.
We do
uh,
spend it from time to time, like if we need to pay something really expensive, but we try to keep it as intact as we can and only spend the staking proceeds. That's the long-term plan, because eventually we would see the project growing and having more people on board and be able to pay the foundation or whatever salary with the staking proceeds. Right now, it's not enough to do that, but that's the plan for the future.
Okay, let me look for other questions. Generic name said, "Thanks, interesting how it's not showing the name at all. It's just one and stars before whitelisting." Yeah, so when you
because
send someone an
yes,
asset, they don't see what asset it is until they whitelist this. So why is this part of the design? Why is your wallet not aware of all the assets out there?
Well, first of all, we have a whitelist and we could use the whitelist. The reason why it's not enabled by default, because some people might prefer to keep it confidential, and some people might spam other wallets with something I don't even know how to put, but you can put
inappropriate.
like racist stuff, slurs, offensive things. You can put child pornography links. So we don't want people to see all that stuff. Like if you make a transaction on Ethereum network with a big amount of stable coins, you getting spammed with all kinds of crap. People try to lure you into copying their address. So it opens up a lot of possibility for you to get unsolicited stuff. So that's what whitelist for. You can only see assets that you added yourself, and you can look it up them in the Explorer, or you can see them in a transaction details. There is also an asset ID, and if you know that thing and you want it to be enabled by default in your wallet, you can whitelist it. But we'll have a centralized approved whitelist of the assets we know are safe, and that would be available in the wallet by default.
Sorry, I was muted on the live stream. Let me take some more questions. Asunzio on Twitter says, "I have some Ethereum that I want to send to a friend privately using Zano ecosystem. How do I send it?"
Well, at the moment, that's impossible, but we are also involved in the project called Confidential Layer that would allow wrapped assets on privacy chain and a public chain such as Ethereum, Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash. And using confidential layer, you would be able to create or bridge Ethereum native one to the Zano wrapped Ethereum and spend it within the Zano ecosystem. And you can do the opposite thing. You can get the Zano asset wrapped on Ethereum and do just the same.
Interesting, because I know that there is Zano wrapped on Ethereum, so you're gonna be able to wrap Ethereum on Zano.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Zano wrapped on Ethereum, it's like a legacy thing we had. It's a contract. We are basically having keys, and that's just the way to bring additional liquidity. The confidential layer, it's a different approach. It's a decentralized wrapping and bridging service with no particular wallet in charge of the collateral, and it allows bridging and wrapping both ways.
The Flying Dutchman at TFD Crypto on Twitter has 3 questions. The first one is, will Zano adopt FCMP once it's live on Monero? What would be the key difference between FCMPs on Zano versus Monero, since Zano has token creation capabilities? So FCMP is full chain something.
Membership proof. Full chain membership proof.
Membership proof.
Yeah.
And yes to that. And there are
We
3
actually-
questions. First is yes. Second, what's the difference? Is it? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the question. So first of all, if you're going to integrate this, and what's gonna be the difference?
What's going to be the difference? Can you tell? Because I assume it's
Well,
going to be
I can
same or
tell-
similar, but this is like more of Wells domain because we need to see the actual implementation, and maybe we would need
Well-
to adjust it.
When we first met Luke Parker in Monerotopia last year, he was coming up with this idea of full membership proof. It was not even, and we was like even because this is really important for all crypto node projects, and we were like really you can do this. It was considered like impossible. But then when we come to MoneroCon, and Luke Parker already had the proof of concept working, and this year we saw him. He was like he is building this thing. He raised money and he come up even with some improvements. So this is really. I just want to say that I really excited about this technology, and it's really cool for all crypto node projects. It brings the whole family of the projects to a new level. And yeah, of course, we will adapt it. It's too early to tell how different it's gonna be on Zana, but it's apparently will be adaptable for Zana, and we really excited about this. And yeah, that's really great thing that they are building.
So to answer the third question, we will try to preserve the token creation, obviously, because it's a core feature of Zano. So we'll find the way to make it work.
Yeah, of course, sure.
Yeah, in the meantime, I've also sent one of these Bitcoin takeover tokens to at Curbshifter, who wrote a message on YouTube. He also seems to have this vanity address in Zano, like a domain. And
Yeah,
maybe I
it's
should
an
ask you
alias.
about this too, because you can register your domain name on Zano and have your own address that people type. It's at the name instead of typing the entire address.
Yeah,
And this is
alias.
very much like Ethereum name service, right?
I think
yeah,
I don't want
it's-
to say better, but it is because it's like built in. It's not like domain system built on top. It's a core feature of the blockchain, so it's completely decentralized. Again, there is not a single server that does it. It's a core wallet feature. You can see it as an NFT, same as in Ethereum, and you can send it between addresses, and you can have a bunch of them. It's just the way to replace the quite a long address. And also we see those addresses as the core feature of Zano ecosystem. You can use it to log in into apps with the Zano browser extension. So that's like a key to the web apps, and um, you can do stuff with it. That's not just an address replacement.
Yeah, and I just want to add that I hate when people compare it with Ethereum name system, because I created this in 2014 before even Ethereum was created. So this name system existed for a long time, and yeah, just
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, I just felt that I have to add
Yeah,
this.
you were first. It's not
Yeah,
like
I
we
was
did
first.
like they did. It's they
Yeah, we
tried
didn't
to
copy
build
from
something similar.
Ethereum this one.
Wasn't
Yeah, but
this also on Namecoin?
no clue.
Uh,
What?
yeah, probably the Namecoin when it's created. I don't remember.
I mean, Namecoin was the first altcoin. It was sort of endorsed by Satoshi Nakamoto when he was around. He gave some ideas about how it should be
Ah,
implemented.
really?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that's my bad. So not the first. Okay. That's because I probably was not familiar with a lot of Bitcoin family projects by this time when I was creating this stuff, because I was not from crypto community originally when I started to do my project. So I learned all stuff on my way there.
So basically,
Probably
you don't have any Bitcoin origin story, right?
absolutely not. When they hired me in this project, I was even skeptical on interview and was not sure if I have to join this company, because they was saying about strange things uh, about virtual money that is like real but not decentralized. I didn't believe in this at all, but they was very. I got very generous offer. They paid like premium, not premium, how to say it, higher than market. So I joined the team, and then I got excited inside the team. So it was really cool stuff. But originally I didn't know anything about Bitcoin. I didn't know much about open source culture and stuff like this. I was working in a private companies before. I was working in anti-malware companies, and I had the background in the networks and stuff like that. So yeah, and when I throw myself into building open source project myself, I had a so small knowledge about how this should be done, what I have to do. All I know that people are writing about the stuff on Bitcoin.talk, so I was making posts, but I didn't know much about other projects and what they're doing, and didn't know people, and learning this all on my way there.
Yeah, there's Adam McBride who works on this. It's basically a layer where you can move assets. It's called Emblem Vault. And he said that Namecoin launched in 2011 and the domains on Namecoin really started in 2012. So I guess this was around before you
But
started working on this.
is this domains was associated with a wallet, or it was just domain names on top of the blockchain?
That's a good question. I think it was associated with a wallet. But you have to buy them, renew them every year or something like this, or every
I
few
think
blocks.
I was under impression there was no such things before when I was created alias. So you can basically register the name for your wallet inside the blockchain. But I may be wrong, because I was not really following the crypto stuff before I joined the Bitcoin. For even when I was working inside the Bitcoin, I was not really reading anything about other crypto, because we were building our things, and I had a Nicholas guy who explained it me basically everything I need to know. So I didn't even go to outer world for the reading stuff. So yeah, I may not know other projects, what was other projects doing.
He says that names were on the blockchain but held and tradable through the wallets.
Yeah, it's probably something like a DNS. There was a very popular trend by this time to copy systems that exist in the internet into blockchain. They created a file coin. They created something for the DNS alternative because it was opinion that you can bring a decentralization into this system.
Yeah, I think
And
Namecoin was initially called BitDNS or something like this. But let me ask you another
yeah,
question from.
probably. Yeah, that sounds actually familiar because yeah, that was very common ideas by this time, right?
The Flying Dutchman also asks you if there are any plans to speed up the Zano fee burn rate.
Well, that's not up to us, is it? That's the transaction flow. If it increases and we do our best to get our system adopted, meaning the transaction flow would increase. But we're not gonna raise fees, I think, as we already mentioned. So if it happens, it happens, and will do our best to make it happen. But we're not gonna make it bigger artificially in any way.
Okay. He also wants to know what's the end goal for Zano.
Well,
End goal.
and goal. It's hard to tell. I
Is
would
there any end goal? I don't know.
I would dare to say that we are trying to become an like digital cash platform to be the like the payment system or the platform for payment system to be built on. So people could actually use privacy crypto to pay for things. That would be the end goal for me at least.
To make a world a better place.
It's not necessarily going to be better because you know who use privacy crypto? Not nice people, but
Mm,
we'll see.
well, that's one of the myths that I want to break, and I believe the privacy is something that is needed for average regular people, and that's the thing that we all concerned about. That people who actively use Ethereum these days, they probably don't realize that all those transactions will be linked to their names to persons in a less than few years, and that's going to be like a big surprise for a lot of people.
Is
And
it though? I think it's already are.
yeah, it's already up, but most of the people you know this from even
Yeah,
from
you
our
you can
circle.
type your address
Yeah,
in Google and you'll see a little snippet with the ENS and maybe a Twitter profile.
right. Yeah.
It's already
So
there.
I believe that privacy is something that's very basic need for general people, and we are trying to fix it. But we're trying to break this idea that privacy is for criminals. I mean, we are not doing anything for criminals, obviously.
Yeah, that's actually a really
Yeah.
weird approach. People don't post their banking statements online and feel it as a like violation if someone gets to their bank account and distribute it, but they're perfectly okay with doing it on a transparent network because they got nothing to hide.
Yeah, it's sort of scary when you think about it because in the
Yes.
banking world, it's normalized to not tell people how much you own, but in the Ethereum world, at least, people brag about how much they have in their wallet and what kind of trade they made. In Bitcoin, I think there is still this culture of don't tell anyone how much Bitcoin you have. But in Ethereum, they don't seem to care.
Well, thing is, you don't have to. Like in Bitcoin, people still know. Even if you ever use a centralized exchange or some of your I don't know people who send you money do, you eventually gonna get doxxed because it's there forever. And with the rise of AI, it's not hard to digest that information, and you will never be able to take it off the public chain.
Absolutely.
So
And it
even
stays forever there.
yeah, even if now there are no technology to link it all together, it could be there in 5 years and you're already doxed.
Yeah, that's something to be said about Bitcoin privacy in general. That when you first send out the transaction, it's pretty good because nobody knows that this address, or when you receive, because you as a receiver, when you generate a new address, you have pretty good privacy. Only the sender knows who you are, unless it's a KYC exchange. But that's another conversation. But if you make any mistake in the future, or if the person who sent you the funds makes any mistake in the future, your privacy only degrades over time. And that's something that I think about very often, because you can have very good hygiene of your UTXOs, but if the people who
Exactly.
transact with you do not, they're going to reveal a lot of information about you.
Yeah. Also, it's a chore to do that. It's really hard to maintain the UTXO hygiene, and not a lot of people know how to do it. I mean, I could even imagine it's being somewhat anonymous if you do everything right, but that's not accessible for the general user.
I was looking for more questions from the audience. Seems like there are more comments than questions. People just say hi and they comment on what criminal means and how you define it.
Yeah, that's actually a good question because really depends on the regulations and government. A lot of stuff that we do consider criminal in bunch of places. And being a Russian citizen, I do a lot of illegal stuff.
Just by
So
existing, right?
yeah, by having an opinion or something.
In some places, people think that being Russian is illegal at this moment.
Yeah, that could happen as well. Imagine if I had like my net worth in a bank account, I would get censored like right away just because I happen to be born in that place, even though I haven't been living there for at least 15 years. But no one cares. You still belong there. So yeah, like term criminal is weird. Like in some states, it's okay to sell weed. In other places, you get capital punishment for something like that, and that's that's not fair, I think. So we have a goal to somewhat equalize it.
Yeah. Arthur Pog asks if is total tax avoidance criminal? But if I ask you as a Russian citizen, tax avoidance means that you're not funding the war, so that's morally correct if you
Yeah,
ask me.
yeah, I would
We
agree.
are not tax residents in Russia,
Yeah,
so we are not
we haven't been
avoiding
there for a
any
while.
tax.
That's important. But yes, totally. You can be sponsoring the terrorist regime by paying taxes, and that's kind of illegal, but at the same time is the right thing to do.
There was another question on Twitter. It was very funny actually. It was from the guy who does my graphics. His name is Andrey Chibik. He doesn't do all my graphics, he just does these thumbnails for YouTube. And he says, ask them why they live in 2017 when some people still believed shitcoins have any future. It's almost 2025. Wake up. Like, how do you respond to that?
Sorry, what the question is? I didn't get.
That's
Why do
probably
you live
like
in
a
2017 and still believe that shitcoins have any future? Well, why you're not Bitcoin only, I think, is the question.
yeah, because that's the most antiquated tech out there. I could say that.
uh, well, is it the guy is a Bitcoin maxi,
Yeah.
Well,
right?
he is a maxi. I'm not sure if he's Bitcoin maxi,
I'm
but
also a
he's
Bitcoin maximalist, but to me, what this means is that I'm looking for ways to improve it. It doesn't mean that I don't look somewhere else, I don't try something else. But I do want to make Bitcoin a good form of money that is
well.
fungible.
That's fair approach. If at some point Bitcoin will adopt the technology we are building, we would ditch right away whatever we are doing and work on Bitcoin.
Interesting.
I will not say anything. I don't want to be negative.
Yeah, done. Well,
No, please be negative.
No, I don't want.
Negative about Bitcoin or negative about your own work?
about
Um,
the guy. I think it's about the guy.
about maxis in general, that we facing a lot of maxis. It's just really hard to speak about anything about with them. Like, doesn't even make sense probably. But some people believe in something that they imagine themselves about or build some myth or believed in some myth about some project. Bitcoin, I really actually like Bitcoin, even if it's not very innovative project by this day, and probably the leadership is also maybe so questionable for some people, but this still for me represent the main idea of crypto. And I even okay that this project will exist forever in the form that it is now. It's totally fine. I just hope that nobody screw up the project, nobody screw up the emission or whatever they would like to fix. And I just like that Bitcoin is still dominating and the market cap, and that's great symbol of crypto. I mean, a lot of people attracted to crypto not because of the amazing technology and finance freedom. A lot of people attracted because they saw like folks got rich from Bitcoin.
But that's the technology,
Yeah,
right?
that's the I tend to disagree. First of all, I don't think the current Bitcoin represent the main crypto idea to be like the independent people's money. It's like in ETFs and the wealth preservation. That's the main narrative. Second,
Really, those people really actively use ETF. It's about Bitcoin, right?
I think the majority of Bitcoins right now are in some sort of custody, not like the people with the wallets. And I also think if you are in for money, shitcoin.
I think the early adopters still hold the majority of it. It's not institutional, not even 30%, I think.
Yeah, but those are the modern people who actually acquired them, not the people from the beginning. So the whoever buys Bitcoin right now is doing for institutional reasons.
Oh,
At least,
most of the purchasing right now is institutional. Yes, that's
so
where the big money is. Also,
this is the
mining is a big industry.
yeah. So this is the current state of Bitcoin. And if you talk about financial gains, shitcoins provide a lot more um, how would I say, opportunity to get there. So for financial gains, the Solana meme coins or whatever is better bet because you're not gonna get crazy rich if you buy one Bitcoin and like in few years you will have the roughly twice maybe. So I don't know. Like
Oh, there are
I
people
don't
who use something that's called leverage, and they
yeah,
buy
but those
one
people get
Bitcoin and
wrecked.
they own 10 Bitcoins, but they can get liquidated. And to them, it's sort of like buying shitcoins.
Okay, well, if you put it that way, but you can buy with leverage whatever. You can buy Microsoft stock with the same leverage and get liquidated just as easy. So it's just trading and doesn't matter what exactly do you trade. You don't even own the Bitcoin at that point if you own a futures contract. So I don't think that represents the crypto idea from the good old times if you just betting on the financial gain.
Maybe I'm just old school guy. I don't do any
Yeah.
ETF trading, so maybe not doesn't know actually what's happening there.
Well, but this
It's
is
just
like fairly
my
new.
myth.
The ETFs and U is sold 2024. Before that, it was sort of still crypto thing. But
Yeah,
right
it's my
now,
own.
the buying power is institutional, and the mining power, as Vlad mentioned, is also institutional. There are some people who left and stayed for the years just because you cannot spend that amount of money, even if you want to. But the new buying power comes from someplace else. Again, I'm not an expert on the topic. This is just something I have to say. Why people do other stuff than Bitcoin?
Like, why do you do other stuff than Bitcoin? Do you find any
Because
satisfaction
we,
in building?
well,
Is
I
it
think
even
there is
possible
a
to build
room
something for
for
build?
improvement. If we are talking specifically Bitcoin, beside the public ledger and the whole history remaining on the blockchain, I think there are still ways to improve the cryptocurrency. I think that every public crypto lacks the one and the essential feature, which is fungibility, because one Bitcoin is not equal to one Bitcoin, because every Bitcoin has some history, and it might worth less if you have some UTXOs mixed in with some drug trafficking or hacked coins, and the average person does not have a capacity to make the due diligence. So I think it's not a perfect money. This is why I think we still need to try to do better. And if Bitcoin adopts the way to do better, we would support Bitcoin. But until that happens, we will try to do it someplace else. This is how Ethereum started. They tried to do things on Bitcoin. Bitcoin wouldn't let them. They started Ethereum, and now it's undeniable success. You can't argue with that.
Okay. So what's next for Zano? On the short term, what do you want to build, and on the long term, where do you see the project in 5 years or something? Because obviously you've worked on this for almost 10 years, not directly Zano, but the idea of this.
That's the idea has changed so many times
Yeah,
during my
because
work.
we don't know.
I'm not that visionary person. I didn't vision all this that we have now 10 years ago. And I had many different ideas. Some of them didn't work. Some of them was mistaken. Some of them worked. And we honestly don't know. We're just trying to
Yeah,
do
we
our
don't know,
work,
not because
try different things.
it's not just that. The thing is, you cannot tell what's going to happen in 10 years to have that long term goal. We're trying to adapt. There are new technologies, new ways to do things, and new demand. For example, the pivot we had with token creations like 5 years back, we didn't know we're gonna do that. We were still thinking we're gonna build our coin, and our coin would be great because we have like a consensus algo. But then reality happened, and we realized that we need to do that because this is what users need, or we think they need, and something else might come along, and we decide to pivot there. So we do not have like 5 years roadmap. We have relatively short version of it, but we have the vector. We're trying to build the digital cash, and we also always will try to move somewhat towards that direction. But the technologies and the applications of it, we cannot tell. We don't know. We'll have to see.
That's a diplomatic answer. But do you
Well,
see
yeah, but
yourself competing
It's
with
fair.
Monero in like 1 or 2 years?
competing with Monero. Well, in terms of what Monero is trying to do, I do
No,
not.
market share, as in attracting users to switch from Monero to Zano.
Well, if we get there, that would be great, and I would want that. But do I see it? I don't know. Do you? How do you feel about competing with Monero in terms of market share? They are so like way ahead of us. It's like competing with Ethereum. We can think that at some
Yeah,
point we will, but that's not something we spend our time thinking.
I
No
have
answer?
nothing to add. I just I don't have anything to add to this because, and I'm not being like humble or trying to give diplomatic answer. Pavel will confirm it that I'm mostly focused on technical stuff and always follow up on business matters with him. He just update me what's
That's not
happening.
business, by the way. I'm not doing business here. We're just trying to adapt. That's it. It's not like we are doing that for our financial gain because we are not gaining much.
Okay.
I think I mean, it depends more from the state of the industry than uh, Monero itself. Industry make way more influence on us, and the people demands way make
Yeah,
way more influence.
they can put us
What people do,
like in,
because
and
yeah,
that.
what we were. So, okay, speak.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm just saying like they could put us in jail in a year because like privacy is illegal now. So that would be it, and we have like 10 years long roadmap. But what's the point? So we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah. The tokenization things come out from very practical aspect that we saw that it's even building the economical practice inside the project, paying different people salaries and freelancers. We noticed that we don't use Bitcoin anymore. Nobody uses it. Everybody is using stable coins, and it's we come up with idea that blockchain as a technology doesn't it's there was idea that create a virtual money for everyone that will be deflating that Bitcoin already did, and then other forks happened, and that's actually kind of ruined the project, ruined the industry, because this forks they inflated as the bubble, and that's become kind of a lot of people compare the banks with the crypto and say the crypto is more fair, but crypto became even more unfair because of this bubble inflated with the money printed out of the air, and we started to feel that the job of the blockchain and the crypto itself right now in this moment is not to create and print this money, but to transact. So now the good blockchain project that is actually using people is the create environment that will be delivering transactions. And if you want to make money from this indirect way, or somehow we can use the fee. So if the project is successful, it's created a great environment. So a lot of transactions are coming through this. So it's became successful. So that's from this understanding, we decided that we have to build something that people will use for transaction, but we are probably not the one who should build money itself. So it's probably other people, it's financial job to build stable coins, to create all these collaterals and the schemes. So we just create the environment and build the technologies that do transact. So that's what our understanding, but I don't know how the industry will change in the 5 years or something. Maybe we'll understand something else.
There's something that's being built on Monero right now, and it's called Tari. It's sort of a sidechain for tokens with privacy. Do you see that as being competition for Zano?
With proof of work consensus, not really.
And to be frank, we haven't seen it to be able to judge on the features. Is it released yet? Because it's been built.
It's been for a long
for a
time,
while.
I believe.
So, I don't know. When it's out, we'll definitely consider and see what they can do and how are we compatible, but haven't happened yet. But as Andrey mentioned, proof of work is the way.
Yeah, I don't understand, because when I read their papers back like 3 years ago, the idea was to use merged mining, and I don't know, I don't understand this why, but yeah, maybe there's some reasons behind this.
It could have changed since then. So
No,
Yeah,
it still
maybe.
uses merged mining. It's RFC 0132,
All right.
which is part of
But
their improvement process. I'm looking at it right now.
they have quite a good researchers on this project, as far as I know, so should be interesting. But I didn't watch into it recently. Last time I saw it, it was like a few years ago.
You guys are pretty humble. You don't like to shill your own work. You don't want to tell people to buy your token. And yet you're gonna get added to Cake Wallet. You're gonna get added to Bitcoin.com. And you seem to have attracted a libertarian crowd from the US who are onboarding people with Zano. And to me, it's interesting. People like Aaron Day, who was on my show, and I had a debate with him, and he was telling me, Bitcoin Cash is great, and I onboard people with Bitcoin Cash. And now he seems to have flipped, and he's promoting Zano, and he's onboarding people to Zano. So I want to ask you, given your lack of marketing charisma, why do you think you have this success?
It's really hard to tell. I don't know.
I
It
don't
might be the
think we
Russian
can call
accent,
it.
right?
I don't think. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
think we can call
definitely
it
not
success.
like it's definitely not us. So maybe it has something to do with the technology we are building because we cannot like
I think some
seriously
people.
believe that people like us personally. It's got something to do with the project features.
I think some. That's a lot of. Uh, how to say it? Because um, I think partially it's connected to the fact that I was lucky to work with Nicholas and was behind the origin of CryptoNode protocol, and some people find it interesting and they like it. I think this plays some role, and because of also because of Monero's success, actually it's as bring some of this shining are hitting me too. So people probably because of this, people think that we um, capable of building something.
Well, Well's
Uh,
work is a revolutionary thing. He was the first guy who did a paper on anonymous proof of stake, which
yeah,
is
but we
used
got Roger even before Wal made this paper, if you remember.
about
Because
Aaron and
somehow,
like
yeah. I was
maybe it's
really
the fact that we haven't bailed on this thing for many, many years. So it sort of shows that we are not here just to get a quick buck and honestly trying to build the thing. So maybe it's that. I really don't know. Maybe we could ask Aaron. I think he mainly like the idea of tokenization because he is big opponent of CBDCs, and that's the technology that could be used to oppose something like that, and not a lot of project building something like that, being in privacy and allowing tokenization. So it might have clicked because of this.
yeah, I don't know. I was really surprised when we got Roger because other supporter, our supporter, was telling me, let's call Roger, let's speak with him and pitch the project." And I was like, "Oh, come on, he doesn't know who we are." And it was like few years ago, and I was like really surprised that he wanted to be to 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 get some coins like back a few years ago. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know, and I don't know how to say why, but we really appreciate all the support that we have from many people. It's really helped us to continue building, and that's really means a lot. If even if we have absolutely random people who doesn't know us, they show us support, they help us building stuff, and Roger actually helping a lot by spreading the word about our project. That's really give you even more strength to build new stuff. It is actually very different compared to my first project when I was doing it all alone 10 years ago. It was in a very negative and toxic environment. These last few years are so different compared to this, and we really appreciate it all. That makes us willing to continue our work and do stuff.
Yeah, and I'm gonna release a privacy magazine that's gonna get launched at Monerotopia next month. And someone actually wrote an article about Zano, and I was surprised because I think the privacy projects included are Monero, Zcash. Of course, there are a bunch of articles about Bitcoin privacy and how you can achieve that with coin joins and how you can make payments out of a coin join and stealth addresses that are available in Cake Wallet. But Zano is one of them. And another one is NIM, which is this mixnet project that's trying to build a VPN right now. And Zcash, but Zano is one of them. But in spite of this, your coin is still pretty small, like you're 30 times smaller than Monero in terms of market cap. So it's surprising to me that something this small, you're ranked right now among the first 500 coins, and yet you receive some recognition that is not even given to coins in the top 100. So I'm not saying that this is some sort of financial advice or prediction mechanism. I'm just saying it's impressive.
Well, thank you. We could not take credit for this, maybe for the development part, but we do appreciate the support and mention.
Elite Savior on the chat says, just make good technology and continue innovating. And Kevin Ravensburg says, what do you think about Tornado Cash developers and Samurai developers being arrested or in jail? And how safe is it for privacy developers today?
I wish anyone will tell us how
Yeah,
safe
at
it is.
risk of repeating ourselves, we don't know, and we hope it wouldn't get to us. But the reality is grim, and
I wish
I
it
don't
was
know.
Grin, not Grim.
Yes, I wish, I wish that very much, but we gotta have to see. But from what I understood, the main issue is when you are profiting from the laundering. If you get some sort of revenue share or cut from the mixing services, which we do not, we write software and open source software, and whoever uses it does not pay us like a fee cut or dev tax. And I think legally we are not in danger, but again, not a legal expert here, so.
And at the same time, the law can change anytime. So it's not like whatever is happening right now is set in stone.
Yep,
Well, but
that's true.
we cannot tell what's going to happen. We make reasonable precautions. We do not have a kill switch. They cannot get anything out of us to potentially compromise the network. So there is no real point to get us like in custody. Only if we violate something and they want to make a precedent, that could be the issue. But like in terms of operational, I don't think even getting us sentenced would disrupt the network. So there's really no point in any of that.
I appreciate all of your honesty and all of your hard work. I wish you all the best. To everyone listening, you can download the Zano wallet or Zano. I'm not even sure how you pronounce it correctly. Maybe you can tell us
Well,
officially.
it's an open source project. You can do whatever you like.
Pronounce it whatever you like.
I have this airdrop that I can make to you. I can send you this Bitcoin Takeover token for having listened to this, and you can grok it. You can figure out how this stuff works without having to buy anything, because the point of this is not to give you financial advice. It's to present you technology that's interesting and that is out there and that could have been built on Bitcoin, but that's another story for a parallel universe where we could have had real cypherpunk money. And if you want to get involved in Zano, my recommendation is that you mine it. Use the GPU that you already have to try to mine it and understand how it works. Get some coins by mining and then send them to people, and don't buy it until you're certain that this is a project in which you want to invest. That was my disclaimer.
Cool. Well, I agree wholeheartedly.
Is it don't buy it can be considered as financial advice too, or not?
I don't know. I'm just telling to people that of course there's gonna be someone appearing in the comments tomorrow or whatever saying, wait a second, these guys are ranked like 500 in the CoinMarketCap ranking, and of course you got paid for this and you're telling me to buy this, and why this and not dog with hat or whatever, which is
Okay.
among the top 50. I don't know. It's always like this. And this was just a conversation between nerds. I was curious about what you guys are doing and your ties with the Monero project and how you're trying to be different. And it's a very nice story from my point of view. And it's an admirable effort that you're making for creating private digital cash, but also with tokens. And I'm actually curious what kind of use cases are going to come out of this. You mentioned or you hinted that someone can create private stablecoins, maybe that people can build private companies, maybe that they can make tickets from this, or something that they can use for events, sort of basically everything that you can use for NFTs but with privacy, where it doesn't matter if the world can see what you have. It's all about owning it and being able to transact it with others.
Yeah, totally.
Are
Like
there
that.
any use cases that I missed and you want to highlight?
I don't think so. We are not trying to like recreate the entire cryptocurrency infrastructure, having like smart contracts and everything. We like do our thing and we try to do it the best. So tokens and NFTs, that's about it.
Okay, it's interesting. There's a market for this. There's an entire industry that was built around this, but without privacy. So to me, it's gonna be interesting to see how much the market values this privacy.
Yeah, we'll see.
Andrey and Pavel, how can people follow your work? You know, it's weird in a privacy conversation situation to ask you how can people follow you because you don't want to be followed, but how can
We'll
people keep up with what you're doing?
we'll have like a social media channels. We have Twitter, we got Discord and Telegram. Those are our main venues, and we are like there 24 hours a day, like throughout the week. So that would be the nice place to catch up. We publish dev updates and we do spaces once in a while. So one of those channel or whatever works the best. We don't have like an active Twitter profiles ourselves, but we have a main one for Zano, and it posts all the updates and everything.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's Zano underscore project on Twitter.
Yeah, I think so. I think Zeno one was taken by I don't know. There was a drone company doing things under that name, or it's just a guy under the name Zeno. But this the one we got.
You wanted to add something, Andrei?
not much. I don't use Twitter much. I've tried to use it, but I have, I don't know, I
Yeah,
struggle
yeah,
to
we
use
did
it.
for a while. It was a pain.
It's really, I don't know, it's not my thing. It's a,
You need to be there like all
yeah,
the time, and you don't have time to work if you're engaged in the
yeah.
conversation there. So we have to like ditch it. But we got a, a manager, marketing manager who does that. So everything is on Twitter anyway without our involvement.
And we are always in the Discord of our
Yeah,
project.
that's where
We are
we
always there.
basically carry out all the work. So you can see the team members there. And if you have a question, like a real question, not like when moon or something about the technology, you can hit us up there.
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much, guys. During this live stream, I only sent 2 out of 100 Bitcoin Takeover podcast tokens. Maybe I can burn the rest of them to make it even more rare.
Yeah,
And
you can
this
actually
You
do that.
can. You can do it.
this makes it even more special. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep some if someone listens to this later and wants to receive one.
Can I
Just paste
claim
an address.
mine?
Sure.
I would take one.
What's
I
your
just
at?
it's at Ravaga.
Ravaga.
At Pavel?
It's at Ravaga. Ravaga.
Okay, let me send you one as a memory. At
And I'm
Ravaga.
Zoidberg.
I wish I could
I
batch
also want
from
one.
my mobile wallet.
Well, we'll get there. I mean, if it's a feature request, you can be sure we'll get there. It feels like it's a little bit inconvenient to do the batch transactions on the mobile wallet, but maybe we can come up with a nice interface to do that.
So it's Ravaga. Okay,
Yep.
it worked finally. It didn't load. I have to type my PIN and it's sent. I guess it confirms in 1 minute. And I'm also gonna send one to Zoidberg as a nice
But be
memory.
careful. There are so many Zoidbergs out there.
Just
people been,
yeah, Zoidberg without anything else.
people been squatting Zoidbergs. So there are at least 5 of them. So you guys want to make sure that you get the right one.
Oh, you're the Satoshi, right? So everyone wants to be Satoshi.
I wish I was Satoshi.
The Satoshi of Zano, at least.
Nicholas is Satoshi of Zano.
And you're not Nicholas, we established.
Yeah.
And Fluffy Pony isn't either.
But some people believe that still.
Well,
I hope some Monero people listen to this and they
yeah, I
dig
mean,
up.
at this point, it's on them. Like, if we haven't said enough, well, have at it. Okay, I get your asset.
Yeah, you got it. And you have to whitelist it. So I have to paste this
Already
ID.
did.
Oh, you already did?
Yeah, you can see the asset ID in the transaction, and you can copy it from there.
Okay, I'll still paste this just in case you need it. Thank you very much, guys. This was a lot of fun. Thank you for your time and patience for setting this up. Thanks for everyone who listened. We had about 850 listeners across all platforms. And this was during the live stream. I don't know what's going to happen after a few days. Thank you very much and have a nice evening.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you. It was a pleasure to be here.